In this issue of Marlborough magazine, we're looking at some faces and places in the city. We've shown you some old photographs of a man who has been part of this city's soul for almost 50 years. He has had his hand in everything musical that has come into the Marlborough school system since the early 50s. And he has been a member of the school committee since 1990. This month, the spotlight falls on Cosmo Valenti.
90 miles south of Rome lays a town named Gaeta in Italy. It is a deep seaport like Boston, but much smaller. In 1928, a child was born to Raymond and Maria Valenti in this glass factory by the sea. They named their child Cosmo. Raymond wanted a better life for his family, and America was making just that kind of offer. He found work as a meat packer for the Armour Company in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Soon they opened a plant in Milford, where Raymond was named a foreman. Now that he was well established in the States, it only made sense that his wife and children would soon follow him. America was the great land of opportunity, so in 1930, 2-year-old Cosmo left his hometown with his mother and 3 brothers and joined his father in the United States.
Because the opportunities were better here, and my folks in their wisdom decided if we want the kids to do something, we better go to the U.S.
America may have been known as a safe haven of opportunity, but the Valentes soon found out that no country is perfect, especially when a depression sets in.
We were all very poor and none of us knew it. You know, that's the way it was in depression.
Right.
1 popsicle a week, and you shared it with your brother. Things were really tough.
Cosmo was educated in the Milford school system. The music program in Milford was very good. Despite finding himself surrounded by good music students and educators, it wasn't the first time Cosmo was exposed to music. His 3 brothers played instruments, and his father played the violin, and his mother sang with the choir back in Italy.
She had quite a good voice, and so she was the vocalist. When we'd have a house party, my uncles would get their instruments out, move the table back, and the kitchen became the dance hall, you know. And we sang and played and danced and generally had a great time. Yeah. There was no TV, of course. Right. And you made your own fun. And the families were close. So it was good growing up that way.
Yeah. While in high school, Cosmo worked in a shoe factory so he could pay for the music lessons he received. Soon, the Valenti brothers formed an orchestra, and they found out that music and money went very well together.
It was a little shower for one of the local girls, and they used to hear us practicing, and they gave us $2 a piece for playing an hour and a half, and I couldn't believe it. You know, in those days, an adult minimum wage was 40 cents an hour. This is for an adult. And so when somebody gives you $2 for an hour and a half, and we were having a good time. Plus they fed us all those good Italian cookies that they used to bring to the showers, and I thought, whoa.
Things changed a bit for the Valenti brothers when youngest brother Louis decided he was no longer interested in playing music.
Well, we were brokenhearted, you know. We had a quartet that we were actually going out playing, and he didn't know what he wanted to do, and of course the disappointment didn't last too long. 8 years later, he graduated from Harvard Medical School. So we forgave him for that.
After graduating high school, Cosmo thought that the road was the place for him. So he studied privately and decided against college.
I was stupid. I turned down 2 scholarships, not very large scholarships. In those days, they didn't give large scholarships. $200–300 was the best. So I studied privately for about 3.5 years, thinking I would go on the road. And then I learned, to my chagrin, there was no road to go on, really. And at that time, I decided I'll go to the university and get a degree and go into teaching.
In 1947, Valenti attended a dance after the big Milford High St. Mary's football game. While there, he met a special woman by the name of Hazel Lancisa.
I went up and saw this girl sitting over there, kind of caught my eye, and I asked her to dance, and that was it.
You just swept
It's just, I don't know who swept who. But no, actually, it was funny. I knew her brother. I didn't realize that I knew her brother until I met her, and her brother asked me if I would drop her off at home after the dance. Well, you know, a good guy doesn't do that, so we went to the local drugstore. In those days, you could get a frap. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
Stop at the drugstore, get a frap, and go home. And I dropped her off, and it was good night, and she flew out of the car. And really, I didn't see her for a year.
Wow.
But she was always, you know, kind of on my mind.
It would take a dance at the Bella Leia in Shrewsbury for Cosmo and Hazel to meet up for a second time. However, they didn't see each other under the best circumstances.
And Les Brown was appearing there. And you know, you didn't go to a place like that, Stag. You went with a date. And so I called Hazel. And son of a gun, didn't she have a date? She had a date. So she had to turn me down. And so I got another date and went. But now I didn't want to seem as if I was upset that she had dated somebody else, so I had to call her. So we made a date to go to movies, and that started the thing going. Yeah. And it was a great courtship, really.
Yeah. Valente graduated from Boston University and set out to find some part-time work while he was in graduate school. The year was 1952, and while searching, a friend in another school district suggested that he head to Marlborough and see if they needed help. So into the Walker Building went Cosmo for an interview with John Coughlin.
But I went in, he interviewed me for 15 minutes, and I walked out with a contract. It was that quick, and on Tuesday night it was approved by the school committee. So before I actually graduated, I had a position.
Once again, a curveball was thrown his way, although the seriousness was quite different this time. Last time, Brother Louis told him he didn't want to continue with music. This time, Uncle Sam came calling for the Korean War, and Cosmo Valente was shipped off to Fort Dix in New Jersey. Before he left, Cosmo and Hazel talked about their future. It was time to call it quits, wait for each other, or get married. Hazel chose the latter. Even when the newly married man arrived at Fort Dix, nothing went the way Valente thought it would.
Had orders for the Far East Command, but the head of the band training school put in for me to remain there as an instructor. So I stayed at Fort Dix for 2 years, well, about 20 months, and ended up being head of the Army Band Training School at Fort Dix.
Taking advantage of the opportunity in front of him, Cosmo then put a big band together. One day they were heard playing in the right place at the right time.
We were overheard by a fellow that worked with public relations. And he said, "How would you like to do a TV show live out of New York?" Well, anything to get out of camp. So we went and then we met Elliot Lawrence for the first time.
Meeting Elliot Lawrence turned into a working relationship that translated to several 13-week series over the course of a year. Then it was on to WCAU in Philadelphia. WFIL did their tapings in the studios next door.
Because there was a young cat spinning records in the next room, in the next studio, and that little young cat, like the guys called him, was Dick Clark, just starting out. Now he's become a millionaire, and here I am, back in Marlborough.
Valente's band continued to play for the next year. His audiences included dignitaries and senators from Washington. In 1954, Cosmo was discharged and he headed back home. However, in teaching high school, he would find out that things were different than they were at Fort Dix.
These youngsters weren't getting much music. All of a sudden, for 120 kids to be moved into an auditorium saying, "Now you're going to sing." And some of them thought this was a joke.
Yeah.
And I was assigned these kids, and with no help. I had to take attendance, play the piano as an accompanist, and direct them and discipline them. I tell you, it wasn't easy. And when I said, be quiet, they weren't quiet. It wasn't like the military. And I wasn't quite accustomed to this.
Cosmo also found that his big band was now disbanded. In 1958, he started up a new band that, to his surprise, has stood the test of time.
I didn't think I'd live this long. You kidding? No. In fact, I would say most of the people in that original band are deceased.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. There have been replacements all the time, you know. But some were much older than I was anyway. So it would not be unreasonable to think that they'd still be around. But no, I didn't think it'd take that long.
Family has always been an important part of Valenti's life. He has as much respect for them as they do for him. When you are as well known in the city as Cosmo is, it's not hard to forget what kind of man he is. Son, Ray Valenti.
I mean, everybody knows what a great guy this guy is, and they're always telling me that, and it's always wonderful to hear that. But he's been around, and he's played just about everybody's wedding or anniversary party in town, and of course, the exposure, again, being in the school department, is, you know, head of the department with the high school band, etc. Everybody knows Cosmo Valenti, even to this day. They always, even before people say, "Hey, how are you, Ray?" They say, "Hey, how's your dad?" You know, so something I've gotten used to. He's a character. We have a great time. We really do have a good time together.
Being a friend and neighbor to Valenti also meant you could count on him, no matter when or where. Friend and former neighbor, Ray Poole.
They had just moved into their house on the corner of Church Street and Warren Ave. And they'd probably been there maybe no more than 2 days, I don't think. And I was walking down the street on the way to a doctor, and I had high heels on. I always wore high heels. And I fell right near his house, and he came running out of the house and picked me up. And I was on the way to a doctor's appointment. He wanted to bring me to the doctor's and, of course, introduced himself. And it wasn't a week later, Hazel had a beautiful Italian dinner for our whole family at his house.
While the big band played on, the music program in the Marlborough school system began growing before his eyes. Valenti was there to help push it all along, too. No surprise from a man who would spend 38 and a half years teaching in the school system.
Marlborough, as far as the music goes, whether you consider it the lessons in the elementary school for the beginners or the high school band or the jazz ensembles, are a direct result of what he started in the early 1950s. Wouldn't be here without him, at least not the way it is now. He built the whole program at a time when music education was pretty much non-existent. He joined a staff of 2 or 3, I think, when he came to Marlborough, or maybe even just 2, him and another guy that at the time had the high school band. Built it up to one point, I believe, with 13 staff members. And music in Marlborough is a result of his hard work over the decades.
Former teaching associate, Rosemarie Boniface.
You could see that this was a man who really cared about what he taught and how well the students that he taught were able to use the skills in performing their music for an audience. So I think that Cosmo definitely made an impact on his students.
Cosmo was known to be an excellent teacher whose love and passion of music was never lost on his students. Former student, Michael Ossing.
Cosmo was involved in everything. You could tell because he was extremely passionate about his teaching skills and his love of instruments, and there wasn't an instrument he didn't know how to play. I played the trumpet, and when I was done, I played it much better with Cosmo's help. He was really good.
John McEnany is also a former Valenti student.
Very inspirational. He not only made you appreciate the music that you were performing, as well as just music in general, but he made sure that you came to class prepared. You knew how to perform your piece of music, whatever we were practicing that particular day.
In January of 1990, Cosmo Valenti had called it a career in the Marlborough school system. On a cold winter day, he walked out of Marlborough High School for the last time as a teacher. If you thought he walked off into the sunset like a perfect dramatic movie, you would be wrong.
I left for the last time. Goodbye, goodbye. See you later. I slipped in the snow. It was January. And I broke my ankle and ended up in surgery the next day.
What came next wasn't laughable. The broken ankle led to a staph infection that settled in Valenti's spinal cord. Cosmo slipped into a coma for a month, and things were going so poorly for him that doctors weren't sure what the outcome would be. He would make a full recovery with the help of rehabilitation.
I was very well taken care of, and that's why I'm here. One doctor called me the miracle kid, and another one called me the $1 million kid.
Cosmo returned to the school committee, a seat he was elected to before his illness. For him, it only made sense to serve on the committee. He wasn't ready to fully walk away from the music program and the school system. That was music to the ears of Marlborough. Those who work with him on the committee are glad to have him. School committee chairperson, Bill Morrow.
He does express himself quite well, particularly when it comes to the music programs. And rightfully so. I mean, with his background being in the music profession and for a number of years being a music teacher within the school system, he defends that entity within the school budget and the school programming to its fullest. He really loves his program, and he's done a great job over the years.
School Superintendent Rosemarie Boniface.
I see him advocating that he wants all things for all students. He wants the best curriculum. He wants the best materials and equipment. He wants kids to have all the advantages that they need.
Cosmo keeps himself busy with the school committee, his big band, and his business on Main Street in downtown Marlborough. He doesn't teach anymore. As he likes to say, he only troubleshoots with music students now. When he conducts the big band, though, sometimes that old teacher sneaks its way back to the surface. Big band member Anthony D'Angelo.
But when he got there, he acted like a teacher. You know, it wasn't like buddy or being Stravinsky and demanding. It was teaching. If we forget to look at the music and we're supposed to play softer, and we went and played louder, he'd stop you and please look at, like a teacher, please look at page 34,
Despite all that keeps him busy, Cosmo still has his eye on the most important thing in his life, his family that he has built over the years with Hazel, his wife of 50-plus years.
I lucked out. Been a very close, very warm relationship all these years. We usually sound out each other on things, and yet we're independent enough to make decisions on our own also. Well, I think it's great.
Cosmo Valenti has lived a very happy and musical life, filled with your typical ups and downs and crossroads. You can come to a lot of crossroads in 74 years, but Cosmo says that in looking back, he wouldn't change a thing.
I would do it again. Like I used to say to my friends, if I had spent this time selling mayonnaise, I'd be a millionaire. The time and effort that I put into music education, that may be a bit of a stretch.
Our final story in this issue is more of a lighthearted piece by Bill Bryant. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, Bill went out and took on a whole Irish step dancing class. I, for one, can't wait to see how this turned out.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Mary.
How are you?
Good.
Welcome to the McInerney School of Irish Step Dancing. I'm Mary, and how can I help you?
Well, Mary, I was hoping maybe we could get somebody to demonstrate the Irish step dance in honor of St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Sure. Let me give you a demonstration myself.
You?
Yeah.
Great.
Come on, Bill. Come on over. Come on. Let's go.
I can't do
Of
this.
course you can. That's what you're here for. Lessons, lessons.
I'm a klutz
We'll
when
put,
it comes to
no,
dancing.
we'll put the music on. You'll hear the music. Your feet will move. You'll, hands down, feet will move, music on. You're all set. Give it a try. St. Patrick's Day. Let's go.
All right. I'll try it. Peace, Mary. I didn't know you were going to have an audience.
Oh, come on, Bill. You can do it. Just listen to the music. You'll be fine.
All right.
Listen to the music. Hey, Bill, let's take a break here. Let's take a break, and why don't we see if the class can do a step or two with you.
It's just starting to get into it there.
I know, looked it. Very good. Okay, Bill, there you go. There's some of the McInerney Irish step dances. We want to wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy Day!
Hey, Mary, that was great. I really appreciate it. Thank you all. You guys did a fantastic job.
Great. Now, Bill, before you leave, how about you showing us some of your steps?
All right, you're on.
Please do.
Hit it.
Go ahead, guys. Follow along. Looks just the same.
Wow, Bill, that was really great. You know, I heard that Riverdance is holding open auditions. Not that I think you should go or anything, but you might just want to check it out.